Hey, Found the Life family. I hope that you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving and I hope that you spent it in a very safe way. I just want to come and just share a little bit of word of encouragement for you all because we find ourselves in this COVID situation much longer than we anticipated. And I know some of us have been very deeply and personally hit by that, by loved ones we've lost. Some of us have been sick ourselves and been impacted in a variety of ways that has hit people and has maybe shaken some faith. And I just want to share a word with you from Psalms 121. It says, I will lift up my eyes to the mountain. Where does God come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. He will not let your foot slip. He who watches over you will not slumber. Indeed, he who watches over Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. And I just know when we're going through difficulties in our lives, sometimes it seems like God is both slumbering and sleeping. And we're thinking, Lord, do you see me? Do you feel my pain? Do you know what I'm going through? Are you going to show up, God? Am I okay? Do I panic? Anxiety comes in, doubt comes in, fear comes in. But Israel, I want to remind you that God that watches over you does not slumber, he does not sleep. God knows everything that's going on in your life. He knows everything that's going on. He knows every impact. And he also understands that each individual thing that's going on in our lives, he's going to take all the pieces of those things, those experiences, those gains, those losses, and he's going to weave together a quilt that in the end, it is all for our good, right? And that's what keeps us going. That's the faith that keeps us going. And I think it's important for us, even in this Thanksgiving season, in this difficult season that we are yet in. Many of us thought this COVID situation would be over. We tired of wearing masks. We tired of staying in, all that kind of stuff. But even in this season, one thing I would encourage you to do is think about, how have you seen God show up? How have you seen God's blessings in your life, in the life of someone else that encourages you? In the depth of where we find ourselves in the situation. I look back and I think about, particularly earlier in the season when we were quarantined at home, like the difficulty of that for some, and for some folks who lost jobs during that period of time, didn't know where their income was going to come from. We're trying to figure out, how does this world work when everybody is told to be at home around the globe? And we've seen some miraculous things, and even God has given us some great ideas of how to reach the body. We see that there are people who are coming to church virtually who haven't been to church in years. We see the way that God has been faithful. And so I want to encourage you to find, even if it's something small, how have you seen that in your life God is not asleep? He's not slumbering. How has he shown up in your life? Through provision, through blessing, through relationships, through new connections, through finding out a job you never imagined that you could work from home, that you're able to work from home and to keep your job, to keep your income, to be a blessing to someone else. And like I said, it may be small things for some people. Maybe it's the fact that you've had an opportunity to spend more time with your spouse. Maybe you've had an opportunity to spend more time with your children. Maybe you've had more time to spend time with yourself. And God has shown up through revelation, through joy, and playing board games and having meals together that you haven't, and reconnecting. What are the ways that God has shown up? Look at them. Even grab a notebook and write them down. Lord, this is how you've shown up in this season. Because it's important for us to know that there is nothing that happens in this world that makes God afraid. There is nothing that happens in this world that God doesn't know about, that God is not in control over. Understand that there's no situation in your life that God isn't concerned about. And so as we begin to worry less and be thankful more, we'll find out that our spirits will be more at peace. Our souls will be more at peace. Our minds will be more at peace as we focus on the blessings of the Lord, small and big, and the assurances that he gives us that he is with us. So, folks that have seen God's blessings abound during this time, folks who have really struggled during this time, folks who have risen to the occasion. Jackie Hunt immediately comes to mind, that is doing just great work in making sure the least of these is having essentials. It all is giving us an opportunity to be the salt in this earth. So make a list of gratitude, okay, of the things that you're blessed, the blessings that you've seen. But also ask God to show you in this season, because we're getting ready to go, the wave is going up again, right? So in this next season, Lord, how can you use me to be a witness? How can you use me in this time to be a blessing to someone else? How can you use me, whether it's praying, intercessory prayer for folks, whether it's, some people at home more, calling them up and checking in and seeing how they're doing. So the less we worry about whether or not God has got us, the more time and energy we have to show the love of God to someone else. I can remember a time when I was in my bed of depression. That's probably a black term, bed of depression. But I was just depressed, in darkness. And I remember God speaking to me to call and reach out to this particular sister. And I got an attitude with God. I'm like, I need somebody to be calling me, checking on me, seeing how I'm doing. I'm the one up in this bed depressed. I fussed, but I did it anyway. And what I found was halfway through the conversation, that whole day, that whole week, that whole month, that whole season, I had been licking my own wounds. I was so concerned about what I was going through. I was so consumed with what I was going through. I was consumed with my pain. I was consumed with not wanting what I had. I was consumed not having what I wanted. And it just kept me in that darkness. But halfway through this conversation with this sister, checking in on her, I realized for the first time in a long time, I wasn't consumed with my own problems. I wasn't consumed with my own pain. I wasn't consumed with what I didn't have, what I needed, what I wanted. I was just there in that moment with that sister. And the light bulb went off in my head after that conversation. It made me realize that it is more blessed to give than to receive. That as we find ourselves in gratitude and we see what we do have, it's easier for us to be magnanimous, to be generous with someone else, because everybody has something that somebody doesn't have. And then that gives us the opportunity to be the God, the child of God, the light of God, the love of God, the heart of God, the hands of God, and bring light to darkness for someone else. And when you're bringing light to someone else, you can't help but to be touched by it too. So, God ain't sleep. Are you? Be blessed, found in life.